Hey brothers and sisters, Meth Hatton here. So it's January 26th. I wanted to get the first of these videos out yesterday. So I am late, guilty as charged. And yes, it's January 26th and we still have our Christmas tree up. Don't judge. But let's jump into it. We're going to go over the holy heroes, and then I have three videos that are going to follow for each of the different elements for the other costumes. But the holy have some great heroes, so I actually wanted to start off with what I'm most excited about element-wise. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So as far as the holy heroes for episode 1, there are 8 heroes we're going to go through. We're going to go through all the 3, 4, and 5 stars. So no matter if your luck was good or if you got a bunch of 3 and 4, I think there's going to be some cool stuff on these heroes that you can think about as far as incorporating them into your teams for like tournaments or Titan hits or whatever you want to use them for. A lot of great heroes. The costumes have really changed things. So as far as the first hero, we'll go over Dawa. Dawa was always, forgettable. She seemed to be the 3-star that always popped up when you're going for one of the better heroes to use on your teams. But that has changed a little bit. With Dawa's costume, she is a lot more powerful as an attacker, and I really like what they did in terms of her class. So for Dawa, she's called the Shagwadian Guardian. Very interesting name there. Her special is called Pounding Attack, and she's running at average mana speed, as always. But now she's dealing 200% damage to a single target, and then she's dealing an additional 230% damage to a random different enemy. And if that enemy is a dark target, then it's going to deal even more damage. So Dawa is looking really good as an attacking hero. She is actually shifted from the Rogue to the Barbarian class, which I think is great. Rogue is more of a defensive skill, and Barbarian's more of an attacker. So Small Giant really did a good job, I think, on this hero. For Dawa, as far as her stats, if you fully level her up, you're probably going to be looking at her costume. Obviously, I don't think you want to go with the base plus the costume bonus. So for the costume, the stats when fully ascended, you're going to be at 527 attack, 423 defense, and 684 health, which is not too bad for an attacking hero on a 3-star like Dawa. So as far as her position, I'm thinking she's probably going to be best at wing. So I played around with the emblems, and I came up with a pretty cool emblem path where you can take her up to 12. And you can really soup up some of her stats to make her a lot more effective than if you don't emblem her. So for only 132 emblems, they will be rogue emblems, so keep that in mind. That's how the costumes work. You have to use the emblems for the base class to level the emblem path for the costume path. So you'd be using 132 rogue emblems. You can get her attack up to 587. You can get her defense to 459 and her health to 720. Not bad for a 3-star attacking hero, in my opinion. The emblem path that you'd want to follow is left, right, right, right. And the goal here is basically to get the Barbarian skill up to 24%. So any damage you do, any tiles that go up, you essentially have a 1 in 4 chance that you're going to apply that bleed effect. So that's pretty nice. So I think Dawa, for relatively cheap, 132 emblems is not too hard to get these days. So I think it's a pretty good result for her. So I really am considering putting some emblems on her. Maybe try her out in some tournaments. I'll let you guys know how that goes. As far as the next 3-star hero, we've got Gan Ju. He has also been improved as well. He wasn't a bad 3-star in his base form, doing pretty high single target damage and reducing the mana of a single target by 25%. But now with this costume, he's actually doing slightly less damage, but just keep in mind his base attack stat when you fully level him up is higher than his base costume. Or his base version, and then he's also reducing the mana by 40% now, which is a lot more significant than 25%. So he's almost able to take off half mana off of a single target. So that's pretty cool. As far as his title, he's called Root of Bamboo, and his special ability is now Rural Chop. He's running at fast mana speed. Again, he's doing some pretty decent damage to a single target and reducing that mana. So he's able to, really kind of shut down maybe a healer or attacker on the enemy team. And then as far as his stats, you are going to want to look at the costume. So you can get his attack up to 519. You can get his defense to 371 and his health to 844. Not too bad. He's definitely going to be geared for a wing position. Similar to Dawa, he's moving from a defensive type skill to an offensive type skill. So he's moving into the barbarian class. So I really like this. I'm really thinking about running Gan Ju on one wing and running Dawa on another, and then trying to figure out a nice 3-star holy option as far as a tank. There are a few out there, but we're not going to go over those right now. But as far as the leveling up with the emblems, for 132 monk emblems, you can level up his barbarian skill, and you can get to the 24% again. So 1 in 4 chance of doing any normal damage with tiles that you send up will trigger that bleed effect, which is pretty cool. And then his stats, when you emblem him, you can get the attack up to 579. You can get his defense to 407 and his health to 880. The emblem path that you would follow to get these stats would be left, right, right, right. So I think this is a pretty cool option as well. For not too many emblems, you can really get Gan Ju firing off, and working a lot better than in his base form when you fully ascend him. So the next 3-star is Kailani. She has changed a little bit. She's still doing the role of sharing all the damage that's coming in across your whole team, but instead of defense, increasing defense for your team for 5 turns, she's actually increasing your attack. So I kind of like that as well. It really turns her into from a, she's still a tank, but she can really contribute to the attack damage of your whole team. So that's pretty cool. She is moving from a cleric to a sorcerer. So with a sorcerer class, you're getting a chance to do extra damage. Her special is called Spirit Rally. I should say her title is also a Magnanimous Mender. And then with her special, again, if you do choose the costume path, you're able to spread out the damage for your entire team and then increase the attack up for all the allies for 5 turns. And 5 turns is lasts pretty long time, so I think that's pretty significant. She's running at slow mana speed, so keep that in mind. She is going to be built pretty much for a tank. So when I was looking at the stats and what you could do, you could use her in her base form and get attack 450, defense 475, or health 801 if you fully ascend her. But then for the costume side, the attack would be slightly lower at 423, which is fine. Her defense goes up to 497, and then her health increases to 825. So not too bad for a 3-star tank. So this probably would be a hero that I could run, if I wanted to run Gan Ju and Dawa, and then put Kailani in the middle as a tank. Just need to find, 2 nice 3-stars of different colors to put at the flanks, but I think that's possible. So as far as the emblem path that I came up with, for 233 cleric emblems, you could actually get her all the way up to 20, which I think would be worth it for her because she's a tank. You could get her, you could increase her attack to 453, so she could help with that tile damage multiplier. And then her defense, you could take it all the way up to 637, and her health to 921. So that's pretty darn good for a 3-star hero. The other thing that you would be able to do is increase her mana gen by 4%, so that's pretty cool with her being a tank. And the emblem path that you would follow to get these stats would be left, right, left, right, left, left, right. So as far as the first of the 4-star heroes, we have Chao. Now Chao has increased significantly, in my opinion. There's some things that people miss about his costume. So with Chao, he is moving from an archer to a druid, which I think makes sense because of what's going to go on with his special. So his title is Master Conservator, and then his new special title is a mouthful. I believe it's Ornithological Cut. He's running at fast mana speed. So he's dealing 275% damage to a single target. And then he is stealing the generated mana of a single target over 4 turns, starting low and increasing every turn until on the last turn all the generated mana is stolen. So essentially Chao is able to completely shut down like a healer or a big attacker. They will, all their mana will go completely down, and then they'll have to start from nothing and charge back up. So I think that's really cool. But the big thing about his costume is that the effect can't be cleansed but if he dies, then it gets removed. So that's pretty big as well for a 4-star hero, being able to lock down that mana gen, and the enemy team can't really do anything about it. So I think that's where him being a druid instead of an archer comes in, because he can actually spawn his own thorn minion to protect him. So by all means, with Chao, you're really going to want to keep him alive to get the most out of his special. So I really like what they did with that. As far as the stats, you're going to want to look at the costume stats. When fully ascended, his attack is 673, which is pretty good. His defense is 680, and his health is 1189. So if we take a look at what you might be able to do with the emblems, I looked at basically trying to increase his attack, his defense, and his health all together, and also try to get the druid special ability up to as high as you could get, so that we can make sure that to protect him with those thorn minions if we can. So I would take him all the way up to 19. That's going to cost you 435 ranger emblems, which, you know, that is kind of costly, considering that you probably are going to have some other rangers that you're going to want to put emblems on. But if you don't have any other options, you know, and you are interested in exploring some of the 4-stars, you could, you know, use some of these emblems and then just take them off and, you know, put them on an archer later if you get like a legendary that you really want to emblem up. As far as getting these stats, you would follow the emblem path, which is right, left, right, left, right, 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 if you want to get these. And overall, I'm really impressed with these stats. I think for a 4-star hero, these attack, defense, and health values are pretty darn good for what he would be doing. I would probably run Chao as a flank, just trying to make sure that he can charge up with some residual damage, you know, from the tiles that they might be throwing at your tank. So with him as a flank, maybe catch some of that and help to charge him up faster. And then when he goes off, you know, you can really wreak havoc. You know, I don't know if I would run him on a defense per se, but for like a tournament or something where there's no healing, you know, he might be pretty powerful. I would definitely, you know, on an offense, I would want to pair him with at least 2 other holy heroes to really kind of take advantage of his attack stat and try and do some quick damage. You know, obviously the best defense is a really great offense. So Chao, really cool hero. Another good 4-star in the epic class is Tao. So he is also a hero I think people are sleeping on a little bit. His new title is called Bark of Bamboo, and his special is called Aura Wave. So he is moving from a fighter to a paladin class. I like the fact that he is now a paladin because it kind of makes sense. So you can really use him as a tank with him running at slow mana speed. I think that'd probably be the ideal place to use him. As far as his special ability, he is dealing 160% damage to all enemies, which is pretty darn good. All enemies are also getting minus 30% accuracy for 4 turns, and the chance to miss also applies to offensive special skills. And then all enemies are getting minus 50% decrease for any healing received for 4 turns. So that's essentially shutting down any healing on the enemy team, which is, you know, could be huge in tournaments. And the nice thing about this is the effect can't be cleansed. No matter if he dies or whatever happens, that effect is going to last 4 turns. So that's pretty powerful as well. As far as his stats, you do want to look at the costume side. So if you fully ascend his costume, you're going to get 581 attack, which is really great, paired with his attack all skill. And then his defense is 744 and his health is 1268. So I really like those base stats as well. So if you take a look at the emblem path, you know, of course you're going to be using fighter emblems. So depending on which heroes you're working on, you might be low on fighter emblems. But like I've mentioned before, you know, you could always use some of these fighter emblems and then pull them off, you know, sacrifice some of the food and iron, but get the emblems back and then just put it on a fighter, you know, that you want to use later. But if you follow the emblem path of left, right, left, right, left, left, and take them all the way up to 18, you're taking his paladin skill up to plus 25% chance of going off, which is going to increase his defense significantly, which is great for a tank. And then his stats are going to get up to 628 attack, which is really good. His defense is going to get to 870, and his health is going to get to 1378. So I do think that I am going to emblem Hu Tao while I'm waiting on some of my other Ascension materials to get some of the fighters up, because I think he will be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to try him out. So the next 4-star, obviously, most people have heard about Wukong. So he was always your really good Titan basher, as far as increasing your attack on your team significantly. They've done some pretty cool stuff with his costume. I think a lot of people are thinking, there's no way that you would use his costume, but you got to look at his base attack stat when fully ascended of 728, and the fact that he's dealing 210% damage to all enemies. He can hit pretty hard now, so that's pretty cool. So if I were looking at, so his title is now Monkey Ronin. His special is called Gambler Slash. Again, he's moving from a monk to a paladin, and then he's doing that nice damage to all. So when you look at his stats, for the costume or the base version with the costume bonus, I think they're both applicable. So because you're always going to be using the base version of Wukong with the Titan still, but then the costume side, really you can look at that in terms of if you want to use him as an attacker outside of Titan. So I like the fact that they've made Wukong a completely different hero on his costume, because this is really one of those classic examples where the costume basically creates two significantly different heroes under the same card, which is really great. More options, the better. So the base with the costume bonus is going to give you 742 attack, 651 defense, and 1091 health. So that's really good for going into the Titan battles. More attack is not going to hurt. And then he's got just a little bit more survivability on the defense and health. But his costume side is going to give you 728 attack, 690 defense, and 1053 health. So I would not have considered putting emblems on Wukong as far as for the Titan. I don't think that it's needed. But if you want to put 380 monk emblems on him, you can really drive in to the attack and get it up to 824, which is now that's really good. And then the defense you can get to 708, and the health you can get to 1228. So you'd also be increasing his paladin skill, giving you a 1 in 4 chance that it's going to go off with normal damage, which is going to increase his defense, which is pretty cool. Part of his special is losing 20% of his defense, so I think having a skill or a special that increases that defense or a chance to makes sense with his build. So if you're going to look at the emblem path, for the 380 monk emblems, you'd follow right, left, 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 right, right, and take him up to 17. The nice thing about this is if you do emblem him so that you can use him as an attacking hero, then it's going to help in terms of what his use is, or his survivability against the Titan. So it's kind of a win-win there. The next hero on the first in the legendary class is Justice. So I have mixed feelings about Justice. She's moving from a paladin to a wizard, which to me gives me problems with her in terms of emblemming her up. But her new title is called Ancient of the Sun. Her special is now called Day of Judgment. She's still running at slow mana speed, but now she's dealing 240% damage to all enemies, and she's getting a nice bonus for each dead ally on your team. She's increasing damage by 50% per each dead ally. So, as your team, maybe a couple heroes get knocked out, she's kind of, stepping up and essentially dealing justice against the other team for killing your allies, which is pretty cool. I believe this is similar to Guardian Owl. And then the other nice thing, she is running at slow mana speed, but she's getting plus 24% mana gen for 3 turns. So this is, similar to an effect that the new costume for Thorn has, where basically the first time he fires off, you can speed up the next attack. So if you were to get her going and maybe add another mana gen character or hero on your team, you might be able to do some pretty significant damage. I don't necessarily like the fact that her damage increases based on you losing heroes. I think it'd be More fun to have it increase with the number of heroes on the enemy team that were dead. But you know, some of these heroes can't be perfect, right? So as far as her stats, you know, you're going to want to look at her costume side. You can get her attack up to 706, her defense to 757, and her health to 1511. So I think the big stumbling block with how they designed this hero is by moving her from a paladin to a wizard. You're essentially being asked to use coveted paladin emblems that should be used for a defensive hero like a tank, and put them to an attacking hero. So I just think it's a little backwards as far as the thinking here. I don't think it's smart to use a lot of paladin emblems, you know, for an attacking hero. You really need to save those for, you know, some of those great heroes that are actually good tanks. But if you were to explore the emblem path, maybe you don't have other options, you could look at taking her up to 18, which is going to take her wizard skill up to plus 25% chance of going off. And with this, it's really going to increase the damage. I believe it's by 15%, which with her attacking all targets and then that bonus if you have allies dead, you know, it could stack up. So she could start hitting pretty darn hard. The emblem path you would follow would be left, right, left, right, left, left. I think she's built to do better as a flank. I don't think I'd put her as a tank. But, you know, I don't know. This emblem path looks good as far as stats wise, but I'll be honest, I don't recommend putting emblems on Justice like this. It just doesn't make sense. So really cool hero, good idea that they had, but I think it just fell a little short with the emblems. So you can't really take her up above what you would be using, you know, as far as fully ascending her with her base stats. The last hero in the Holy class is Leonidas. He's obviously the best of all these heroes because he's now able to put Holy defense down against a target, so that's why everybody's excited to use him against a Titan. And then also all the dark enemies, so if you're going, you should be using him against a dark Titan. He is decreasing the attack that's coming in by 34% for 4 turns as well. So that's pretty cool. He is now the King of Sparta, and his special is called Spartan Charge, and he is running at average mana speed. So Leonidas, really great hero. If you're looking at the stats, you definitely want to be looking at the costume when fully ascended. You're going to get his attack up to 749, his defense to 773, and his health to 1347. So if you start to look at his emblems and what you can do with that, you are going to be needing monk emblems to feed into his barbarian costume skill. So I would say take him up to 18 if you can afford the emblems. That is going to be 1,125 monk emblems, not barbarian emblems. But you're going to be able to take his attack stat up to 861, his defense to 827, and his health to 1419. So you're just making him, you know, hit that much harder and able to survive against the Titans, which is really cool. I am excited to try him out against the Mythic Titans and see how he does. You're also getting a 1 in 3 or just a little bit less chance of his bleed effect going off from his barbarian skill. So it's not going to make or break Titan damage that you're putting up per se, but Leonidas is definitely could potentially be a very fun hero to use in raids, you know, in a combined with some other yellow or holy heroes. So the emblem path as far as trying to get to these stats would be left, right, left, right, left, left. So Leonidas, the best of the bunch. There are some better heroes in the other elements that we'll go through. But as far as this video, we'll close it out. Episode 2 that's coming out probably tomorrow will be the fire heroes. And then followed shortly after by episode 3 where we'll talk about the new dark costumes. And episode 4 will be the ice costumes. So a lot of great new costumes. Excited to go through these other costumes with you over the next couple days. But thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you on the next video. And hope you have some of these heroes that you can level up and have fun with. So we'll see you on the next video. Thanks, everybody.